and gentlemen, welcome to the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view review. I just got done watching what I would say was a really good pay-per-view with a very lackluster crowd that I thought took away from the show completely. I'll get into that right now, but just got done watching Kenny versus Moxley, and as usual, I want to jump right into the main event. We'll get to the rest of the show, but just watching the main event, how brutal Moxley and Omega truly was. It was a beautiful car crash. If you're a fan of the Attitude Era, if you're a fan of death matches, hardcore matches, Moxley and Kenny just put on a banger of performance. It's refreshing to see Kenny go to those levels of brutality. I mean, they pulled off all the stops. The broken glass got your boy. That was my limit. The broken glass, cutting Moxley's fingers in between with the broken glass. That was kind of my limit. Kind of got a little nauseous. Wasn't a fan of that whole spectacle of the broken glass. Everything else, I mean, the whole entire match was brutal. Seeing Moxley drag himself through the broken glass so he could stand up and get out of the sharpshooter, that was brutal. Dragging him through the... I mean, this match, I honestly did not expect Moxley and Kenny to be as brutal as it was. And it was as brutal as it can get. Obviously, Moxley, we know he's you know, the legend is in all his old school indie matches. He was the king of the death matches at one point of his early career. Seeing him go to that place again with Kenny Omega was absolutely spectacular. I was an absolute fan of the match. I know certain people probably weren't big fans of that match. I know that's not like everybody's cup of tea to see that much brutality in a professional wrestling match. As somebody that enjoys watching death matches every now and then, I have certain buddies here and there, shout out to Rossi, that absolutely adore death matches. I need to tell them to watch this match, because this match was as extreme as it can get. And I think AEW needs to introduce a lights out title, their own version of the hardcore title, because this match, I thought, was as brutal as it can get. It was one of the best hardcore matches I have been able to watch on a main wrestling product show probably in the last 10 years. I can't even remember. Probably the last great hardcore match that I watched. And I'm not talking about like indie shows like GCW and all those other indie shows that have brutal death matches. I'm talking about like main shows like WWE, AEW, those kind of shows. I've been on a big platform like TNT. The last time I've seen a big like hardcore match on a huge platform was probably Edge and Mick Foley at WrestleMania. I mean, this match was absolutely brutal. This match from beginning to end, they were just going for it. And they went completely for it. And again, there's going to be some people out there that probably hated this entire match. I saw some tweets out there saying that this match went for too long, that it was too extreme, that they're lucky that nobody got hurt, which is true. Them exposing the wood barrier on the ring and Kenny and Moxley just taking hits on through that wood. Brutal, my boys. This match was absolutely brutal, but I was an absolute fan of it. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. It was a spectacle that I enjoyed. The glass was a little too much, but I get it. I mean, they went for it. And I got to give AEW props for going for it. This match, I did not expect it to be as extreme as it went. A lot of times they promote it, they hype it up to be that this is going to be as extreme. It usually doesn't like hold. This one definitely did. Moxley and Kenny, oh my lord, wasn't an absolute car crash. But in my opinion, it was a car crash that I couldn't keep my eyes off of or not enjoy. But let's go down this pay-per-view, my boys. As always, you know, I just want to get the main event out there as soon as I can because it's fresh on my mind. It just ended right now when I'm filming this, so I want to get that out there. But let's go down to this card. Your boy wrote some notes again, you know, trying to keep everything on paper so I know what's going on, so I don't forget when I'm blabbering on these videos. But I mean, the show starts off with the fantastic tag team match between the Young Bucks and Santana and Ortiz. Fantastic pacing in this match, fantastic storytelling. They go back and forth. I love how they really played to like the Young Bucks really going a different route with their tag team action. It was kind of like the Young Bucks were kind of heelish in this match a bit, kind of stuff that they used to do when they were in the Boy Club, which I truthfully enjoyed. Santana and Ortiz really pushed the Young Bucks to the limit, and I like that they got the proud and powerful got the win in this match. It was fantastic. Again, the pace was great. The back and forth action, Nick and Matt are just fantastic. Nick, I mean, he really sold that leg injury, but he had some amazing kicks in this match. Back and forth action, very high pace, very high storyline. Santana and Ortiz pick up the huge W. Again, for all those people that thought the Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny were going to put themselves over when they took on the reins of AEW and made themselves executive vice presidents of the company, they have been doing their work, man. They've been taking some major L's here and there. We'll get to that a little bit later. But I like also the Rock and Roll Express. I like how they pretty much, they paid the payoff. The payoff in that match, I was reading my notes real quick. The payoff to that match was fantastic. I like that they paid off the Rock and Roll Express after the actions from Santana and Ortiz from last week, or 2 weeks ago, I believe. Either 2 weeks ago or last week. I like the payoff there with Rock and Roll Express coming in there and attacking Santana and Ortiz. That was a fantastic payoff for the story itself. Great match, great way to start the show. AEW once again establishing themselves as the best tag division in pro wrestling. Right after that, we go to Hangman and Pac. These two have great chemistry together, and this match was as brutal as it can get. Pac hit a brainbuster outside of the ring on Hangman, right onto a steel chair. It was probably the most brutal brainbuster I have seen since Eddie Guerrero hit a brainbuster on Rey Mysterio on the steel steps when Eddie turned heel all those years ago. Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero, the GOAT. But that brainbuster, that pocket on Hangman, it was brutal, my boys. Just absolutely freaking brutal. I loved it. This whole match was absolutely fantastic. It was a brutal back and forth action. I predicted before this match started that Hangman was going to lose, and I thought that maybe he was going to be the one to turn on the Elite and cost Cody his title match. That doesn't happen because Hangman picks up the huge win on Pac. It was a win that he needed on the record book, so I like those two going back and forth. They obviously have great chemistry together, and I would love to see Hangman and Pac do this for a longer period of time. They obviously work well together. I thought Pac was going to pick up the win and probably set himself up for an AEW title match because he's been on an absolute complete roll. Really good match, really nice grudge match between the two wrestlers. Nice storyline, nice promos going into it, and the payoff between them was fantastic. Hangman picking up the huge, much deserved win that he needed after losing the title match a few weeks ago, losing to Pac a few weeks ago in the first AEW Dynamite. Hangman definitely needed this dub, and it was a fantastic match back and forth, but the brainbuster was definitely the highlight of that match. And then we get this really quick Shawn Spears versus Joey Janela fill-in match for this pay-per-view. I thought it was pretty good. The crowd, though, by the way, the crowd in the beginning of the show was awful. I just gotta throw it out there. If you're in the crowd, I don't mean to offend you, but this crowd was not good. It didn't feel like an AEW crowd. It didn't have that spark that you feel with AEW Dynamite or the other AEW pay-per-views previously before AEW Full Gear. It just felt like they were kind of off. And I mean this as no disrespect, kind of. But it kind of felt like a WWE main roster crowd. They were not all that into a couple of these matches. They were very silent. At least that's how it came off from my viewing, from my screen. I had a couple people reach out to me on Twitter telling me they were experiencing the same stuff, that the crowd just didn't seem very into it to start the show, and they weren't. And it really took from a couple of these matches because Shawn Spears versus Joey Janela really didn't get a reaction from anybody. There was a cool moment where Shawn Spears ties Joey Janela's hair on the rope break, on the rope from the turnbuckle. It was kind of something new, something we haven't seen before, so I really enjoyed that moment. Joey was tied back against the corner of the ring. I thought that was an awesome little cool spot that they did there that we haven't seen, something fresh. I like how they used Tully Blanchard to actually hit a move in that match. It's a cool way to use Tully. He's not just a standing, manager for Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears picks up the big win. Obviously, he needed that win after kind of his rivalry with Cody kind of fell flat. It was kind of rushed, and he just ended up losing anyways. They kind of went with the whole history thing, and it didn't really work out. So it kind of seemed like, what is the direction for Shawn Spears moving forward? It kind of feels like he's kind of a little bit out of the loop, and I'll get to that later on, especially with all the things that happened during the AEW title match, but we will get to that, my boys. We get this awesome promo with Kip Sabian. I'm a fan of Kip Sabian. It was perfect promo with him. I hope they really establish him as a singles competitor because, he's fantastic. I'm a huge Kip Sabian fan. I think he's very underrated, but they finally put him with Penelope Ford, who is actually his real-life girlfriend now. So now those two, she's ditching Joey Janela. It's a bad night for the bad boy. He gets ditched. She's now with Kip Sabian. Cool little promo. Can't wait to see what he does moving forward. I think Kip Sabian's super underrated, and he could be a future champion in AEW. That's something to watch for. in moving forward with Kip Sabian and now Penelope Ford being together in real life and on AEW television. Then we get the highly anticipated AEW Tag Team Championship triple threat match between the reigning champions, SCU, the Lucha Bros, and Private Party. Like, this match, everybody was excited for, and Twitter was, couldn't wait for this match. We were all hyped for it, and don't get me wrong, it was a fantastic match. But for whatever reason, it kind of felt like this match was missing something. It felt a little bit off for whatever reason. I kind of blamed the crowd on Twitter. I kind of said it was because the crowd, they weren't that into it. They were into it in some spots, but in other moments they were very quiet. Now, Rey Fenix, one of the best wrestlers in the wrestling world today, was the hands down MVP of this match. He was fantastic. He kind of got the crowd on their feet. He was all over the place. It was a very nice match that had some awesome moments. But for whatever reason, I don't know if I just expected more, or it felt like something was just completely off. I think my expectations for this match were a little bit too high, and it didn't deliver, but it still looked good. It started a little bit clunky, a little bit all over the place, a little bit chaotic, but at the same time, it had some massive, awesome moments. But the ending was a little bit anticlimactic again. The title decision, again, very anticlimactic. SCU retains the title. They pin Private Party. The Lucha Bros come into the ring. They start attacking SCU after the bell. Lights go out. It's Christopher Daniels, the Fallen Angel, returns, attacks the Lucha Bros, who I think is the best tag team in the world. That's just my opinion. But the match itself kind of felt lackluster. I felt like the crowd wasn't as into it as I expected. And again, I feel like that AEW crowd really adds something to the product, and they've been on fire the last couple of weeks for whatever reason. And if you're at the show again, I'm sorry for just like dogging on the crowd. I feel like this audience wasn't that good for the first couple of hours of the show. I don't know if it was just because they were kind of sleepwalking and they kind of just wanted to get to the co-main event and the main event. But for whatever reason during this match, and it was a fantastic match, and SU did retain, I kind of felt this match was missing some lightning in the bottle. It just didn't have that signature moment where it made me feel like this was a classic. And the ending, again, very anticlimactic. Wasn't a huge fan of the ending of that match, but it was cool to see the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, back. Even though he was only off TV for 3 weeks, so the payoff wasn't really that like natural. We didn't really feel his loss or miss him all that much because it was really only 3 weeks. So his return, it was cool because he was dressed like Pentagon, so it was kind of cool him mimicking each other. But I feel like the payoff wasn't all there, and the crowd was kind of just. The match is like not very. It was, I don't know. It was a frustrating way to watch it because I just felt like there was something missing. I don't know. You guys let me know if you did watch the Triple Threat AEW Tag Team match. Let me know down below what you thought. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the match qualities were great all the way through. I just felt like tonight's crowd didn't have that same electricity and fire that previous AEW crowds have. Maybe that was just my opinion. You let me know. After that match, we go into the AEW Women's Title match, and again, the crowd kind of sleepwalking through this match. They weren't really into it. I thought it was a fun match. Rio looked awesome. A lot of different moves here and there. A lot of different, they were just going back and forth. And you can tell these two have great chemistry. So, bunch of different maneuvering. I enjoyed the maneuvers they put on each other because they obviously know each other's game so well that they were able to do certain things that probably they can't do with other wrestlers, but they know each other so well. It was the master versus the teacher, but I don't think they really established that storyline. That's the one thing I will see about the AEW women's division. They really haven't established storylines or fleshed them out. So I think, it was the teacher versus the master type of storyline, but that storyline really wasn't fleshed out all that much. So the crowd was kind of sleepwalking through it. But Rio picked up the win in a very newer, cooler way. Her maneuvering is fantastic, and it just looked so good on camera. Kind of some ref botching there. Some of the crowd thought there was a 3 count beforehand. A lot of maneuvering, a lot of different move sets here and there. I thought the women's match was fun, even though the crowd was just not all that into it. But I thought the match was fun in itself. I thought Rio looked amazing again. She got an awesome pinfall that a lot of people didn't expect. So I like the way that it ended. The way it ended and the execution of the ending in the match itself was fun. So I really thought the AEW's winning match. I didn't have high expectations going into it, and it pleasantly surprised me. And I enjoyed the women's match for what it was. And then boom, right off the bat, Kenny, no, my bad, we already talked about Kenny. Well, in my notes, I put Kenny versus Moxley as the main event, because right after that match, they go straight into the AEW World Title match. And I wrote in my notes, oh man, Kenny and Moxley's the main event. And I will say, I kind of wish, and no offense to Kenny and Moxley, because that match, again, brutal, my boys. But I kind of wanted Cody and Jericho to be the main event, especially the way they built it in the last couple of weeks, especially with Cody's promo from undeniable to ungoddamn desirable. I really like that promo. If you missed my reaction to that promo, go check it out. It's on your boy's channel. I really thought that match should have been the main event. That's just my opinion. But obviously, great match, fantastic match. I mean, it was very old school title match. MGF comes out with Cody, I'm thinking of the Lakers. Comes out with Cody. Hager comes out with Jericho. Great entrances. Cody's mom is ringside. Then we get the three judges, Dean Malenko, the Great Muta, and Arn Anderson. If they had three judges at ringside, in case if the match went to 60 minutes, the judges would decide the winner of the match. That way, well, there was supposed to be a definite winner, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that, my boys. Cool little stare-off between Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho. We all know the WCW history there, my boys. Jericho dominates the match early on. Cody gets lacerated, lands head first on the ring entrance. The ring entrance was connected to the ring. I thought that was pretty cool, little ring entrance. And I liked how they had the stage for Full Gear. I'm telling you, wrestling fans care about the way, the theming of wrestling, like wrestling show pay-per-views, like entrances. They care about that stuff. WWE used to do it back in the day. They don't do it anymore. We missed that. I dug that AEW made an attempt, and I like that the entrance of the ring was connected to the ring. Well, Cody goes for a dive, completely misses it, lands completely head first, lacerates his head. It was an ugly cut. For a second there, I thought they were maybe going to end the match, and that's how they were going to write off Cody, because Cody did declare if he did lose this match, he would never, ever contend for the AEW title ever again. The match is brutal, back and forth action, very old school style match. Cody's mom gets involved. She slaps Chris Jericho. I thought that was a really fun spot in the match. JR's commentary tonight, very back and forth. There were some moments he was bad. He was very good during the tag team match, and then he was kind of very bad during this match. It was very up and down for him. Hager gets involved. He's thrown out of ringside. Jericho nails Cody now with the title. He hits one of the greatest freaking code breakers I've seen in a very long time. Conclusion of the match, I gotta admit this. This was probably one of the best Chris Jericho's, Walls of Jericho's I have ever seen. He locked that Walls of Jericho in so cleanly. And it looked so well on camera. And it leads to MGF throwing in the white flag, pretty much giving up Cody. And the winner is declared pretty much by TKO. Chris Jericho, the still reigning, defending, youngest AEW champion in company's history. MGF throws in the towel. I'm assuming at this point that they're really going to still layer out this whole MGF Cody storyline. Cody was fantastic in the match, and this match was very old school, very cool. Cody had this awesome Dusty callback with some of his punching maneuvers. It was very good. It got me a little bit emotional because it was very cool moment. With his mom at ringside, come on, that was cool, my boys. But in between this match, it was just fantastic. Brutal match between the two of them. Jericho looked awesome. Cody looked awesome. The Walls of Jericho looked absolutely perfect tonight. But anyways, MGF throwing in the towel. I thought that was going to lead to them really stretching out the story between MGF and Cody. Lo and behold, MGF finally turns on Cody. We've all been expecting it. We all knew at some point it was going to happen. Kicks him, low blow. Cody goes down. MGF with this classic MGF smirk. One of the best moments of the night, though. MGF is walking back up the entrance, and a fan chucks a beer bottle or a beer in a cup, perfectly paced at MGF. Just nails MGF. He gets covered in beer. A lot of people said that maybe that fan was placed there for that moment. People said that fan was escorted out of the arena after that moment happened. It was on Twitter news that he was escorted out. Either way, even if that fan deliberately did that and he's probably going to be banned forever, what a moment. That's going to be a moment that AEW replays for years to come. That direct shot that kid hit, or he's going to be signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because whoever that fan was had an arm, he had an aim, and he nailed MGF right on the side of his face. It was a great spot, a great caught moment for AEW that we're going to look back for years to come, because I thought it was a fantastic spot for MGF. And I really like that MGF didn't join the Inner Circle. I like that MGF's going to go solo and going to do his own thing. And I'm really really excited to see this new rivalry between Cody and MGF. And now that Cody can't compete for the AEW title, that's going to be interesting to see how they play that off for years to come. I mean, obviously, unless Cody retires, if Cody's just going to be a mid-card wrestler for now, that's going to be very interesting to see how they pull that off moving forward. MGF and Cody is going to be very interesting. I'm a little bit surprised that they pulled the plug on the storyline that quickly and told MGF to turn heel at that moment. I thought they would really flesh it out. I think they could have fleshed it out a couple more weeks, especially with the whole, arguments between the towel and throwing in the towel and why he gave up on him. Them going right for it it's going to be very interesting to see how they pull it off moving forward, my boys. And obviously the main event, Kenny versus Moxley. I told you guys in the beginning, it was a brutal match. I didn't take that many notes about it because I was just so enthralled about the match and the spectacle that it was. I can understand why some people probably weren't fans of that match again. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed AEW Full Gear. Some nitpicks here and there. I just feel like the crowd wasn't all that into it. I thought the tag match, triple threat tag match, could have been a little bit better. Maybe that was my fault for expecting it to be more than it actually was. Again, the crowd did get up. The crowd was very quiet for the whole night, and I don't want to completely shit on them, but they did wake up a little bit during the Cody and Jericho match. They were very into Cody Jericho. They were more into that match than any match of the night, probably. They were a little bit quiet during Moxley and Kenny, even though that match was brutal. They had some moments, but if I had to compare, Cody Jericho probably got the most reaction from the crowd the whole entire night. I just felt like the crowd was very lackluster, and I don't know why. I just felt kind of like a WWE main roster audience for whatever reason. It just didn't have that electricity that other shows have. But altogether, match quality-wise, AEW Full Gear, in my opinion, was complete success. 2 great finishes, 2 great endings, 2 great matches, a lot of awesome title matches, and it makes you wonder what is next moving forward. And eyes are on the prize for AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. I'm excited, my boys. You let me know down below if you watched AEW Full Gear. Comment down below. Let me know your review. I'd love to know what was your match of the night, what was your least favorite match of the night, and what did you think of the crowd? Did you have the same experience that I did? I thought they were weak. I thought they kind of took away from some of the matches. I'm sorry if you were at the show. That was just my opinion. That's just how it was viewed from my viewing area. I'm pretty sure it was very lit inside the arena if you were there personally. But from my eyes watching it on the screen, it just felt like that crowd was very lackluster, and it kind of took from the whole product altogether. But I thought tonight was a pretty good night for AEW. Altogetherness, if I'm going to sum it up altogether, I think AEW had a great night. Full Gear was awesome. It was their first pay-per-view since Dynamite debuted, and I enjoyed it. But you let me know down below in the comment section if you like this video. Slap that thumb, subscribe, and join the Hollywood Quick. I will see you guys later on. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend and your night too. So,